the Ultimate Fighter.
Correct.
He really couldn't train properly with it. Yeah, it's going to be a different animal in the future when people aren't worried as much about permanent damage.
Right. I need it because I do a lot of permanent damage.
Yeah, most damage today is permanent damage.
All these wild excursions I go on.
Yeah, tell me about the cave dive.
So you want to learn about cave diving? Okay. So, first of all, Kate wants to take you. She takes you, so you learn about all these different rules of the water and of the nitrogen levels that you're taking into your body. Anyway, cave diving is about 5 years in. I got my certification in high school, and I am a super cave diver, man. I love it. I love it. I love diving. I love everything about diving. I love ship diving. Cenote days, caves, you name it. I love it. So we were in Cozumel a couple weeks ago, and one of my old, you could almost call him instructor. He's taught me a lot of what I know about diving today. We dove 3 or 4 days with some buddies of mine that were down in Cozumel. Just went through some ships, went through some just the coral reef, just playing around, diving with them. And then we go and do a serious dive. He's getting a little bit older. His mind is still very, very, very sharp, but his motor skills don't keep up with him much anymore, right? And in cave diving, it's very necessity that you need. So we jump in this cave. Let's rewind to 20 minutes. I just kissed my girl and my new baby, and she's like, I don't really want you to go, like, right? I don't want to say his name, but the guy you're going with, like, I'm worried. Mm-hmm. I said, what are you worried about? I said, I'm coming home. Like, this is what I come home every time. I'm coming home. Fuck, I don't know. So I order another cylinder of air just for extra. I have 2 originally I'm going with. I order another cylinder of air. I told her just to fucking have it, right? No one's ever died because they have too much air. In cave diving, you dive in third. So if we have 300 psi, we'll do 1,000 psi in. We'll do 1,000 psi out, and we have 1,000 psi in case something fucking happens. Also in cave diving, they have lines. You run these in a cave. They'll already have a line run. A bunch of guys like me, tech divers, have gone into caves. They discovered them. They mapped them. They named them, and they put lines so you can follow them in case something happens. Right? Get in and get out. Lines and lines, and none of the lines really connect except for like the main lines. They'll have like 3 or 4 main lines down big channels of a cave because caves are huge, right? From an entrance to the main line, usually no one has a cave. You have to make it what's called a jump. You have to make your own line because they just don't want someone listening on here today to go find a cave, jump in, swim down, and be able to get in and out and get lost in there. Now all of a sudden we have a Thailand incident. We're fucking going to save people. So we make a jump, tie off. You put these direction arrows down. They're called cookies, right? Pointing out towards the direction out of the cave. So that way, if something happens, you come out. When you make a jump, you take your light, you wrap it around your neck, and then you have 2 hands that work on the line. The guy I was with didn't follow some of our rules. And in cave diving, it's kind of an unwritten fact that you only worry about you. I'm coming home, right? I'm fucking staying alive. So if Joe, me and I were cave diving, if something were to happen, I'm not going in there to get you. No reason for 2 of us to die when only one's in there can die. So he tries to tie off. His buoyancy he hits the roof of the cave, kicks his feet, spins, and now all of a sudden this line that's supposed to be tied off, which is our fucking lifeline, is now wrapped around him. So I swim over to him and I try to help him unhook this line, and he goes into panic, and panic kills everybody involved. Everybody involved dies with panic, and that's something that I can't express enough. So he starts fucking freaking out, hitting the roof, spinning, silt fucking everywhere, and I just back out. Take about 4 or 5 big, strong steps back, and I grab a hold of the main line. Now it's silting out. Now when I say something's silting out, there's all this like sediment that ends on the bottom of these caves. And you're in like a little tiny room. So if you kick your fin hard, it kicks up like dark dust, mud, sediment, silt. You can't fucking see anything. Blacks it out. So I back out of the silt. I grab the line. And I see him in there fucking freaking and panicking, spinning and rolling around and getting all caught up in this line. And I'm like, fuck. But I just stay calm. This was the exit. I know where it is because I know where I am. There's the exit. He was making a jump to go down another tunnel. There he is. Now, what I just tell you about the rule that someone comes home, right? I broke the rule and I went in to get him. I said, fucking goddamn. So I let go of the line. And I go in to get him because his light fucking is off now. And I'm thinking, goddamn it, he spun up in this line. His light's off. Did he drop his regulator? Does he have air? Is he okay? Soon as I go into the silt, fucking lose everything, man. Lose my way, where I am, my up, my down. I don't know where I am. I'm fucking panicking now. I'm panicking. Fucking freaking out more than any I've ever. Breathing hard. Bang. Hit my head on the fucking ceiling. And I just close my eyes. And I'm like, God damn it, cowboy. Calm the fuck down. Calm the fuck down. Calm the fuck down. Breathe. Can't even see my hands in front of me. I have 2 watches on. They're glowing, right? Those are to let me know my depth, my time, everything, right? I have two dive computers. I check them. I look. I calm. I check my light. I got to turn my light and burn my our pressure gauges. They're glow in the dark, right? So I charge it with my light, and I look at, okay, air. Check my second one. Okay, air. I know my third one's good because I haven't even opened it yet. That's just in case. I breathe down. I fucking think, and I can't even see my hands in front of me. And to this day, I close my eyes, and it gives me nightmares right now just thinking about it. Cloudy, dark, can't see anything. All I can see is the hum of my light. So I turn my light off, and I'm trying to think like, all right, just calm yourself. Figure this out. Where's our partner? I start feeling around, and he's nowhere to be found, right? Nowhere to be found. So I'm now calm myself a little bit, and I start feeling the walls, and I start moving around. I'm trying to think, where am I? But I don't know because we haven't been down this channel yet, so I don't visually haven't made an imprint of, oh, there's that, there's this, right? Kind of like a mental imprint in my mind, because that's what we're doing as we're coming in, landmarks, right? I don't have any of those. I don't have any feel. I don't have any touch. And I'm moving around. I took a compass reading of the direction of the front when we tied off at the first jump, right? So I know 126 degrees is the way out. But in a cave, they twist and they move, and they're up, and they're big, and they're deep, and they're low, right? There's no like rhyme or reason how the water made the cave. So it's kind of a direction I can think of. The first thing that comes to my mind, and I start swimming that way, and now I hit a wall, boom. And I go down, I hit a wall, and I'm fucking in panic mode again. I fucking swim. Now I just start swimming and kicking and fucking going crazy. I make my way out of the silt, and I fucking turn around and I'm back on the main line, right? I find the main line to the cave again, which is 800 yards to the front, to the door. I grab a hold of the main line, I fucking reel it in again. Okay. Now, the entire behind me, deeper into the cave is free. It's no problem. Silt free. I can see everything's good. Where I need to go is fucking silted out and blown, gone, completely fucking washed. I couldn't see you sitting there, but I can see everything behind us. I can't see you. I have the main line, but I don't have the jump line to get the fuck out. So I started thinking, I was looking at the cave maps, trying, like, before we went, just try to get a visualizer of the direction. I'm trying to remember landmarks, but I can't see anything, and I can't feel, and I'm like, fuck, there was a split up here. So I go back into the silt again, and I start feeling around, and I'm feeling, and I find a hole, and I'm like, is that the right way? Is that the one I want to go down? Where does that one go? Okay, maybe remember. That's not okay. Let's go to this next one. I go into the next one, and now this is where it's got to be. I'm going, but all of a sudden, I'm swimming against the current. And I remember when I came into this cave, there was this very slow current, which is why the entire cave is now washed out from that point on, right? The current is taking out, so I'm like, fuck, you're swimming against the current, so you're going the wrong way. I somehow work that into my fucking panic mind. Like, we're swimming into the current, or we're going the wrong way. So I fucking turn, swim back. I'm back on the fucking main line again, right? I find the main line. It's clear, out into the clear main line. Fuck. I start like hyperventilating and panicking, and I'm thinking, man, you piece of shit. This is how people die. What the fuck are you? Right? And I'm keep reminding, kissing my wife and keep my kids saying, I'm coming home today. I'm coming home. So I do it again. I fucking venture into the fucking great unknown fucking abyss, total blackout. Another panic, fucking freak out, can't find my way, hitting my head, kicking, losing air by the fucking second, bro. Because now I'm breathing hard, I'm breathing fucking irrational, and I'm sucking my tanks dry, right? Mind you, I'm on air, so I don't have, there's no answer to this after I breathe my last breath. Keep checking my thing, keep keeping my time, looking in the direction, time, air, time, fuck, slow down. Now I'm in pitch fucking black, can't see anything, trying to figure out where I'm at, what I'm thinking, what am I doing? Okay, we're running out of air. How much time do we have, Cowboy? We're at 28 feet. I know we're at 28 feet. I could probably breathe on this for about another hour, on this tank another hour, so we got another hour, okay. We've been in here fucking 38 minutes already. What are we gonna do? Start trying to find my way out. I can't. I can't. Now I start thinking, what am I going to do? I'm not going to drown, Joe. Drowning's like my biggest fear of my life. So we have a thing that's called a BC, and we carry it on our back. It's a buoyancy control device. That's how you control your buoyancy when you're scuba diving, right? It probably holds 20 big, huge, strong breaths. So I fill that motherfucker up. This is my plan. I'm going to fill my BC up, which throws me to the top of the cave. Bonk, right? Now I got to flip upside down, and I have to like crawl on the ceiling trying to figure out where the fuck I am. Now I got to get out of a cave upside down. And I'm thinking, all right, we've switched to our last bit of air. How are we going to do this, Cowboy? What are we going to do? We filled our BC up. When I run out of air, I'm now thinking in my mind, how am I going to die, Joe? Right? Tell my wife, tell my kid, I'm coming home. Now I got to fucking realize, how am I going to die? I have a notepad that you carry in your pocket to draw and write on. I'm thinking, what are you going to say? What's your letter going to be? You're writing a fucking death letter? You're awake. You're a fighter. We figure this out. You don't fucking find a way to quit, you fucking bitch. This is a conversation I'm having with myself while I'm in fucking complete panic mode and complete darkness, thinking that this is how people die. What the fuck are you doing? You're gonna write a letter to your fucking kid and tell her how you fucked up? I'm sorry, daddy's not coming home. So I'm fucking thinking, I'm not going to drown. I'm not going to breathe my last breath. So I'm going to breathe this BC that I just filled up with air, and I'm going to fucking breathe it until the oxygen level no longer happens and I just pass out. That's what I've come to realize how I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking just slip away and pass out, keep breathing the same air until I go away. And I start thinking, you fucking piece of shit. You're giving up? Like, you're having like legitimate conversations with myself while fucking in complete panic. Like, you're gonna quit that. You're writing a letter and you're gonna fucking breathe your last air until you pass out. You fucking pussy. You're a fighter. Figure the fuck out. So I'm upside down. I'm crawling on the ceiling. I remember when I came in. We came in the big cave and there's like a huge fucking crack that runs along the top. Turn both my watches off now at this point because they're giving off light, and I kill my light. And I said, that crack's gonna fucking lead to the surface. That crack's gonna fucking give us something. So I just start panicking again because I'm panicking and I don't know what to do. I'm sucking air and I'm fucking breathing hard and I'm hyperventilating and I'm crawling on the ceiling, looking for this fucking crack, and goddamn it, I found it. I found the crack, and I followed the crack, and the crack got bigger, and all of a sudden I see fucking glow, like green glow, crawling, find it, try to get up, my tanks are too big, I can't fucking get out of the little hole. I can't get out of the hole, I'm fucking, bink, fucking hitting, screaming, freaking out. Calm down, cowboy, this is the way, calm the fuck down, reel it in, we're here, we made it. Grab control. Follow the crack some more, opens up, out, boom, there's the cave, fucking I'm out. Made it. You're coming home. You want to talk about, whoa, motherfucker, whoa! Right? That was the feeling. Meanwhile, my guy's out there. I can't even be mad at him because he panicked, he grabbed the line, he fucking ran out the hole. And he looks at me and he says, so we're not diving together ever again, are we? I said, no, that was it. That was it. And I text my girl, I love you, baby. And today was a fucking scary moment. But daddy's coming home. And it was fucking so crazy because that was, I mean, I've almost died numerous times, but almost dying slowly, which puts it in perspective to me, like, these guys on death row, I always thought, like, yeah, fucking kill a murderer, man. That's, fuck them. Dude, knowing the time and how much time you have left, that's some scary shit, Joe. Knowing that you have 2 hours left.
How much air do you have left at the end?
Maybe another hour, probably. Hour and some change. But could you imagine I had to talk to myself how I was going to die? Like, to me, that fucked me up. That fucked me up really bad. Like, I probably had to go do some mushrooms and ask myself some questions now because that fucked me up bad. But the inner me, the fighter, you figure it the fuck out. But was I going to write a letter? I was fucking damn close to writing a letter. It was crazy, man. It was wild.
Damn.
Hopefully I explained that good for everybody.
You explained it like a motherfucker. Yeah, I'm nervous. I felt like I was there. Fuck, dude. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
And I'm going to do it again. Like, I'm not scared of it. Like, that, it just needs to be done better. I'll run my own motherfucking line.
Well, it also shows you how important it is, like what your wife was saying. You can't, she knew something. She had a sense. Like,
right.
When people fuck up a lot or when they're just that person that just can't keep it together, you got to be real careful around those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy shit, man.
I mean, that's why people kill those people in war. They just like, look, we can't do this.
Yeah, we
can't.
can't.
Getting everybody killed.
Yeah, your panic is sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not hanging in there. You become a detriment. Fuck, dude, that is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard in my life.
I'm glad I got to share it with you. It's fucking impressive.
Things like that. So
now, in your book, did you go over near-death experiences?
I do, yeah. I have a chapter on that, yeah.
What do you think is going on? Like, when people, like, the ones that have fascinated me are people in the hospital bed that see their body from above, and you're dealing with a bunch of chemicals that are released in the body, right? There's morphine and all sorts of different things, psychedelic chemicals and all these different things that are happening while your brain is basically on the edge of death.
Right. So it's important to remember that they're near-death experiences. You're not actually dead. So there's a liminal transitional stage there where you're sliding into some other state of consciousness, an altered state of consciousness. And we know that if you inject or you take hallucinogens, those are molecules that operate on a lock and key mechanism with the synapses in your brain, in your neurons. So if these external drugs work in this molecular lock and key mechanism, there must be natural chemicals similar molecularly to that in the brain already, just in smaller doses. So one theory about near-death experiences is that this is a way of transitioning from living to dead without feeling anxious and falling apart and upset and depressed or whatever. It's kind of a smooth, feel-good, better than a morphine drip kind of way of making the transition. And but we know, for example, that this scientist named Dr. James Winery worked for the United States Air Force, working with pilots, accelerating them in a centrifuge, and they would black out. This is part of their training. 2Gs, 3Gs, 4Gs, boom, out you go at some point, like 10 Gs. And most of them have these little dreamlet states that he called them, which are kind of like I saw a tunnel, a white light at the end of the tunnel. I felt myself floating out of the seat and having these sort of weird experiences. And we know exactly what that is. The blood is being compressed to the center of the body, including the center of the brain. The last thing to go is your brainstem, of course, to keep you alive. So the cortex is shutting down from the outside in. That would create this kind of tunneling effect on the back of your skull where your visual cortex is. That would create some of that. Open brain surgeries. These are on epileptic patients where they cut them open and they poke around to see where the seizures are starting, and so they could zap those neurons instead of some big crude attack. And anyway, so while they're doing that, they get permission from the patient to wake them up while they're under, and the brain is open and they tap around with electrodes. So this is one way to map what the brain is doing. So what do you report when I tap here? Oh, I just had a vision of my 10th birthday or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's where that's stored right there. Well, there's another spot right on the temporal lobes just above your ears where you can tap it and the person says, oh, I'm floating out of my body, I'm up by the ceiling now. And you tap a little to the left, oh, my left leg is up, my right leg is up, my left arm is floating, my right arm is floating, I'm way up here now I'm coming back down, just by with a rheostat, just controlling how much electricity is going into the neurons in that one particular spot. So we know for sure that the near-death experiences are in the brain. The experiences that the people report are real. They have experience. But we know it's neurologically based. Now, the counter argument is, yes, of course, you have to have your brain to have experiences, but it's like a doors of perception opening into this other realm that these chemicals allow you to do. It's like, by the way, I've been talking with Graham Hancock about ayahuasca. He's invited me to come join him in Rhythmia in Costa Rica to try this. I've never tried this, and I'm tempted to go do this to say, okay, if I'm going to write about these things, I should experience it. But there's a debate amongst people who do this that, is it strictly just in your head and you're not actually going anywhere, or does it open some door to some other dimension? Okay, that's kind of and so the near-death experience believers counter that. Well, yes, it's in your brain, but it still is taking you somewhere else. The problem is that how you tell the difference between I had a personal experience that the only way you can share it is if you actually go through it yourself. For a scientific community that studies it, well, there has to be some way to test it somehow or tell the difference between that. So, for example,
is that the limitations of the scientific method,
though? Yes,
because when you're dealing with consciousness and you're dealing with memories and dreams and ideas, you can't measure those either.
That's right. So, I quote two other sources. Okay, so first of all, I discussed the most famous example is Eben Alexander's trip to heaven. He wrote a book called Proof of Heaven. Now, this is a Harvard-trained neurologist. He knows more about the brain than I do. And so he knows all the research I'm talking to you about, and there's a lot more. So, but for him, it was so powerful. And okay, what's it like? So he talks about it in his book. He was in a coma in a hospital. Okay, so he takes this trip, and the colors were unbelievably intense and rich, and I felt just deep personal love for the people I saw and oneness with the cosmos and all. He goes on and on about this. So then I quote from Oliver Sacks's memoir when he talks about in the 60s when he was dropping acid and the colors were incredibly intense and I had this incredible feeling of love and connecting. And I quote from Sam Harris's the opening pages of Waking Up. I took ecstasy and I'm sitting there on the couch with my buddy and all of a sudden I feel this intense love for my friend. In other words, the narratives are indistinguishable to an outsider. So how do you know that you're actually going to heaven or you're just having a fantastic trip?
Well, it's entirely possible it's both.
Well, so how do we know?
So we don't know. I think the real problem is people saying that they know.
Right.
Right. Saying that I know that I was in another dimension.
Right.
I know. I mean, it's entirely possible that your consciousness is capable of going through these chemical doorways that are created by these molecules, and that it experiences some frequency on the dial. Like if there's a radio dial, maybe we're at 95.5, but you can get to 97 if you take X amount of milligrams of dimethyltryptamine, and then you go to this new place. But you're still physically here.
Aldous Huxley's book, The Doors of Perception.
Yes.
Which supposedly is where the Doors got their name, but no.
Really?
Somebody told me that's a meme that's not true. I don't know. Anyway, but that's the idea. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, but really, what you're getting at is a super core problem of what is truth. How do you know? So mystical experiences are by definition personal, and you can't corroborate them through some external scientific method. So I mean, science is based on the act that we can falsify a claim, we can test it somehow, and that it's not just me pointing to something and say I think that's true because I experienced that. So I wrote a column in Scientific American about this called "What is Truth?" So I start off with like, well, the truth for me is that dark chocolate's better than milk chocolate. And maybe you say, no, milk chocolate's better than dark chocolate. And that, there's no way we're going to resolve that.
But is that truth, or that's just preference?
That's an internal state. Or I say, the other example I use is, Stairway to Heaven is the greatest rock song of all time. And then you go, no, Freebird is better than Stairway to... Okay. You can't resolve these things, right? So you slide there into things like these personal experiences we have. So, so what I think Graham is hoping, if I go to Rhythmia and try ayahuasca and I say, wow, I report this fantastic experience I had, presumably I'll have this, and then it'll be, well, did I, Michael Shermer, go to this other dimension, and now I really kind of, as a skeptic, need to renounce my pure materialistic, monistic belief and admit there's a dualistic, there's another side, there's a spirit side or something. And I'm not at all sure I could do that, because how would I get out of my own head and say, I know for sure that I went to this other place, because I wouldn't know.
During these overwhelming periods of anxiety and fear and terror and injury, and when your body is thinking, like, hey, man, this might be it. And I think that's probably what a lot of these near-death experiences are, is that people are experiencing what you would call an endogenous psychedelic experience. That your brain is releasing these potent chemicals that it absolutely has inside of it. Your brain has a ton of different, things like dimethyltryptamine and different psychedelic chemicals it's capable of producing, as well as like melatonin, dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, cortisol. There's a fucking storm of shit going on in your brain. And
in a moment like near death, jacks it all out.
It probably pumps it through your fucking neurons, and everything's firing, and you're seeing things that aren't there, and you're talking to dead relatives, and you're imagining the pearly gates, and your imagination is on 10, and you're just seeing everything. That's the reductionist perspective. The hopeful, optimistic, spiritual woo-woo perspective is this is a chemical gateway, and you're seeing through the door of the other side, and then when they decide it's not your time yet, you're sucked back to where you lie, and then you're allowed to resume this life because you have more work to do. And that's the perspective that a lot of people feel when they come out of those experiences, right? They feel like, I have more work to do, I can't stop now.
My mom, years ago, God, it was like 10 years ago, more than that even, maybe 15 years ago at this point, had a heart attack, or a heart episode, rather. My dad died of a heart attack, but my mom was on the table and they were putting a stent into her heart, into her artery. And she was sitting there chit-chatting while they were doing the surgery. I guess she was on a local more so than anything else. And she was joking around with the doctor. She's like, here, I got to hurry up, doc, because I got to pick up my mom and then went out.
Whoa.
And so she died for a minute and a half, clinically fucking dead. They had to fucking try to restart the heart. So I was like, what happened? What was it? And she said, she didn't describe, like, I saw the bright lights and I saw people and blah, blah, blah. She said I was floating. And I was like, floating up? She goes, no, floating on my back. It's like, okay, well, you were on your back in the hospital. Do you think that's what it was? She's like, I don't know, but this is what I remember. Every iota of responsibility I ever felt in my life was gone. She's like, I felt free. Like I felt instantly lighter. And just as I was heading in a direction, that's when, like, they pulled her back. So she'd been dead for like a minute and a half, her heart had stopped. So I was like, all right, you've been in this best of all possible worlds for, fucking 60 plus years. Now you've seen a glimpse of the other side. Which is better? And my mom said, the other side. And I said, what? You were there for like a minute and change. Why? And she said, I was completely fucking free. Like, that was it. I didn't know this one. I don't have to care for this one. I don't have to make sure this is taken care of. I don't have to feed the cat. She was like, it was bliss. She's like, and if that's what happens, then I look forward to that again. So when I was having my shit 3 months ago, and the doctor was like, you got a 20% chance of living, I was sitting there going through all the fucking shit in my head about like, all right, well, this is it. You've spent your life with your head up your ass, fucking trying to figure out who you are. Go ahead, look at your head and heart. This is it. This is the big moment. Like, what are your thoughts? What's going through? And I'm such a chicken shit in life. I assumed that I'd be like the guy who was like, I'll fucking suck your dick to stay in this life. Because I know this life and I don't know what happens afterwards and stuff. So I thought I'd be begging for help from God or something like that. But I was like, I made dogma. I'm sure Jesus would be like, go to hell. Fuck you.
Nah.
Buddy Christ my ass. So instead of doing the religious thing, I started thinking about just the journey itself. I was like, well, if the journey's ending, what are your thoughts? Just like when they held up the phone, they were like, do you want to talk to your wife? And I was like, no, of course I did. But I didn't want to because I was like, I know in my heart of hearts, if I speak to my wife right now, I'm going to be in that 20%. I'm going to die. I'm going to be in the 80%. I'm going to fucking drop dead because that's
the intensity of it.
Not even like, oh my God, it's going to kill me. It just, the way they were so like, your wife is on the phone. Do you want to speak to her right now? Was very leading. And, they're professionals and these cats deal with life and death every day. And this was my first experience with it. So what I got out of it was.
You're probably going to die.
Was what they felt.
Yeah.
And I was in the state of like, I didn't even realize I was having a heart attack. And so I remember looking at the phone and being like, if I answer it, if I talk to Jennifer, that's going to be it. I'm not going to leave this room. So I was like, I'm going to play the odds. If I don't talk to Jennifer, maybe there's some part of me that's like, look, I like talking to Jennifer. We've been together fucking 20 years. I better enjoy talking to Jennifer. Maybe if I put this phone call off, then I'll get to talk to Jennifer when it's all fucking done. So I said to the dude, I was like, you know what? Tell her I'll call her back. And the guy goes, seriously? And I was like, yeah. And I saw him talking and got off the phone. I was like, what'd she say? And he goes, she was fucking pissed, dude. And I was like, well, I'm dealing with my own shit right now. So I was laying there on the table and I was like going through my life and I was more grateful than anything else. I wasn't scared anymore. That was the thing. That was the thing that I love to communicate. I spent my whole life terrified of fucking dying. And when I was as closest to it as I ever knew I was, and for all I know, I was closer someplace, but like I was cognizant and told by a professional, this is fucking risky. I was just I was grateful more than anything else. I was like, what a fucking journey. Like, yeah, and I'm 47 and it seems short, but fucking like, you gotta admit you did more than fucking most people get to do, and maybe that's why it happened at an early age, because you weren't gonna get the rest of this time and shit like that. But like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't like, fucking why, this is unfair. I remembered like there's a issue of Sandman, which I absolutely loved, Neil Gaiman's comic book series back in the day. And in like after the first story arc, we meet his sister. The main character is Dream, Morpheus, the character of Dream. He's part of the Endless, and he's got other siblings, Delirium, Desire. One of his siblings is Death. And they represent Death in the comic book. You're used to seeing the fucking Scythe and the fucking Grim Reaper and shit. She's the little emo girl, goth girl, wearing an ankh around her neck and shit like that. It was written in the 90s. And they don't tell you right away that she's Death. As you're reading the issue, you're like, oh shit, I think she's meant to be Death. She's ferrying souls over to the other side. So you see a baby pass and she's holding the baby, and then there's the refrain is like, I hear the sound of her wings, and that's taking this soul over to the next place as she's sitting around talking to her brother. And so she eventually gets into a room with this older guy who's like, who are you? And she's like, I'm here for you. You know who I am. And he's like, that's it? He's like, oh my God, I did all these things. I worked my fingers to the bone, and what did I get? This is it. What did I get? And she says, like a line that when I read it when I was 18, it was powerful. But when I was laying on the fucking table, it was constantly going through my head and made it all easier. Made me kind of at peace with the idea of dying. There's this line she says to the guy. She goes, you got what everybody gets. You got a lifetime. And as I was laying there, I was like, oh my God, I got a lifetime. Like that's what it was. Nothing more, nothing fucking less. And I did some shit in it, and now it's going to stop, and people are going to go on without you, and that's not terrible. Like I thought I'd be fucking desperate to live, and instead I had that weird, like, I understood what my mother said for the first time. Because I was laying there, I was like, oh my God, like I made it to the end. Like, this is it. This is the finish line. And it had been something that I was terrified of ever getting to. But then when really kind of faced with it, I was like, oh, like I'm done. Like I'm not scared that I'm done. I'm actually kind of relieved that I'm done. And like, you know, fucking like I didn't get killed and I wasn't home invaded. A shark didn't eat me. All the things that like I'd been terrified of my entire life, like I don't have to think about anymore. I made it to the end and it's kind of okay. So it's weird. My whole life I thought like, you know, I'd be scared to death, and most people, we all are. We're all terrified of fucking dying because we don't know. But that's the closest I ever came, and I wasn't scared. Like suddenly the fear just went away and it seemed logical. Like of course it's over. Like things end. And I didn't want to die. Didn't have a death wish, but I was like, if it's done, it's done. And count your blessings and be happy and don't be a bitch. Like if the fucking ferryman shows up tonight, don't fucking hold out. Don't be the last asshole at the party going, no. Like, just fucking pay the ferryman, get on a boat and go. We'll see what's next and stuff. And then ultimately, Leidenheim did a good job, and I fucking wound up living and stuff. So I know this much. I got to read a bunch of shit like after I nearly died, and it was all nice. People wrote very nice things about me and shit. And I expected, you know, it's the creature of the internet that some people would be like, I wish he had fucking died, fuck him to death and shit. I wish he'd stay silent. But generally, it was like very nice things. People were kind of positive and stuff. So I was like, fuck, man, like, you know, I didn't want to die, but like if I had, like, that would have been okay. Now I'm back at it. You know what I'm saying? Like now, until it ends, like I've got to, you know, and it's kind of easy. As long as I don't wake up with a fucking dead girl or a live boy, I don't think like they'll fucking rake me over the coals when I die in the future and shit like that. But it felt weird to be so close to the completion and having something that normally terrifies you suddenly be like, oh, it's okay. Like, I don't, if you walked up and put a gun in my face, I'm sure I'd feel threatened, but like I kind of lost my fear of death. I'm not like death defying. I won't go out and do anything differently. But that dark cloud that kind of kills any good time, the moment you start thinking about like
the fear and anxiety,
you're going to die one day. Like,
yeah,
it's gone, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm going to die one day, and it's going to be awesome, but not for the reasons that you think I'm saying it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome because I finish. Like, it's nice to finish things. We know how good it feels in life to complete something, and that's the biggest fucking thing in life you'll ever complete is your journey. So I didn't walk away going like, I got to do more. Like, I got to fucking live life to the fullest. I just got to keep doing what I've been doing, like living life the way I enjoy it, trying to do things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they fail and shit. Sometimes people are on your side, sometimes people are like, you fucking blow. And just do that fucking time. Have good conversations in the process, meet interesting people, hear new points of view and shit like that. And keep at it. But it's nothing to be afraid of. Like, awesome. I don't want to get eaten by a cat, don't get me wrong. Like, and I guarantee you, I would not be philosophical as a fucking big cat was crushing my, you know, I'd be like, Jesus, no! I'd find prayer quick. But death is no longer something, I'm not looking for it, and I certainly won't put myself in harm's way, but it doesn't preoccupy me anymore. I've been there, and it's not the thing that I was led to believe it was. Like, it's not the ultimate fear come true. It's not the Grim Reaper. There's a sense, at least in my case, and again, I didn't have a painful heart attack. I'm sure people have heart attacks where they feel like their fucking body's being ripped and cleaved in twain. But it wasn't that. It wasn't scary. It was okay.
Well, listen, man, I'm glad you lived because I love you, and you're one of my favorite people to talk to. And we don't talk very often, but when we do, I always love it.
And after the heart attack, I couldn't wait to. We started texting and be like, "Bro, you gotta come in." I was like, "Definitely."
Like, I didn't want to ask quick. I wanted to give you some time.
What's the protocol on that
so
sort of shit?
Gross. Like, it's so morbid. Listen, man, you might not make it. Do you think you can get in here?
Is Tuesday good?
Yeah.
But no, I is happy to be here and stuff, as we all are happy to be above ground. It's better than below ground.
I'm happy to hear your perspective too.
I want to pass it on because you're a seeker as well. And
I think it means a lot to a lot of people that are listening too, because that's what everyone's scared of, right?
Oh, it blows, dude.
Everyone's scared of the ride being over.
That's what we think. We're trained to think that way. Every fucking movie, every book you read, every song is about like how it'll suck when it's over, and
that fear can keep you from enjoying it while you're living it.
And trying cool things and stuff like that. And I don't mean like putting yourself in harm's way. Like, let's shoot a movie with real lions. Like, that's been done. Don't try it. You can watch the fucking video. But the things where you're like, I'd really like to try it, like, it fucking won't work, or there's maybe time later. That's the one thing I did walk away from it. Like, time, you're fucking lucky for every goddamn second.
Every goddamn second.
So use it wisely.
And I think if you can just think that way, like today's a borrowed day. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you have to trick yourself into like finding more enthusiasm. You have to trick yourself to be pumped up about stuff. But if you can really do that and exercise those patterns in your brain and get them normal, there's people that have tricked themselves into enjoying all sorts of things that they know are good for them. They just fire up those fucking chemicals, and today we're gonna just go out there and attack this day because this is a gift. This isn't supposed to be here. We got one.
I think that all the time now, honestly. That's like an underlying that goes under almost every thought I have. And it doesn't happen constantly, but it literally happens about 10 times a week. You'll be doing something, you'll be heading somewhere, you'll be eating something, fucking whatever the fuck, fucking having a conversation, and then you'll be like, this isn't supposed to be happening right now. Technically, based on the odds, I was supposed to die back on that fucking table. So suddenly you're like, I'm playing on house money.
House money,
You know what I'm saying? Live a house money life, kids.
Live a house money life, kids. That should be a fucking t-shirt. When I got reached out to about you was that you had gotten through a near-death experience. And I really didn't want to read into it at all. I just wanted to ask you about it.
Sure.
So something happened. You had an aneurysm that burst inside internally.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So, I mean, the medical description is I had an undiagnosed aneurysm, which is a ballooning of an artery at a weak spot. Arteries can dilate to get more blood flow, but an aneurysm is like one specific spot that, for one reason or another, is weak, and it starts to sort of give way. And it'll bubble outwards. And as that bubble grows bigger, and this takes decades, it's a very slow process, right? I have a ligament in the wrong place, and that set in motion a sort of vascular problem that resulted in an aneurysm. And they don't hurt. There's no way to diagnose them. I mean, unless you scan someone's abdomen. I've always been super healthy. And so throughout my life, I just never had any reason for an abdominal scan, right? I'm a fit, healthy male, right? A fit, healthy person. And so I just never needed that look inside me. So no one saw the aneurysm growing, right? And so at some point, the artery wall gets stretched so far that it will rupture. It'll just burst. And now you have an arterial bleed. So you know what that, if someone shoots you in the femoral or stabs you in the abdomen and you have an arterial bleed, your life is measured in minutes or whatever, or hours. And if someone does you the favor of stabbing you in the abdomen and severing your pancreatic artery, which is the artery that ruptured on me, it's a little artery, this thickness of a number 2 pencil. It's not a big deal, but it's arterial blood, right? I mean, don't stop that shit, you're going to die, right? And so if someone just like stabbed you in the abdomen, you rush to the hospital, the doc is no problem. The doc, if you're still alive, they'll transfuse you. The doctors know exactly where to sort of put their finger to plug the leak. It's no problem. The problem with an internal hemorrhage, an abdominal hemorrhage, is the doctors have no idea where it is. And your abdomen is basically a big bowl of spaghetti, right? Oof. I mean, right? And it's filling up with blood.
And they have to find where it's leaking.
Yeah, because the blood, if you're stabbed, the blood's going out of your body onto the kitchen floor. With an internal hemorrhage, it all stays in your abdomen. So it happened, it was during COVID, and we were in a remote area, an old house that we own at the end of a dead-end dirt road in Massachusetts. And it's so remote, there's no cell phone service, the phone lines are old and they short out when it rains. And my wife and I had a little bit of babysitting. We had, at the time, a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. We had a little bit of babysitting from the teenage girls that lived down the road, that we knew the family, and so they came over to give us a few hours. And my wife and I went out to this cabin that's even deeper in the woods, and paradise, basically, right? And so we're out there, and in mid-sentence, I felt this sort of pain in my abdomen, like, ooh, what was that, right? Like, not kidney stone pain, but worse than indigestion, right? And so I sort of twisted and turned to see if I could work it out, and then nothing helped. And then I finally stood up, so maybe I can walk it out. And as soon as I stood up, the floor just reeled away from me, and I almost fell over. What was happening is my blood pressure was just like tanking, because I was losing all my blood into my abdomen, and my body hadn't compensated yet. So I was just like my head was reeling, right? So I sat back down, and I said, was something I never thought I'd ever have reason to say to my wife. I said, something's wrong, I'm gonna need help, right? And you don't want to ever have to say those words, right? And you're fit, I'm fit. It never crossed my mind that I would ever have to say that unless someone shoots me or something, right? But not in my life. I stopped war reporting. I gave all that gambling with your life. I gave it all up. I had a family. We're in this beautiful spot. Like, are you kidding? It can come after you here too, right? Who knew, right? So, she dragged me through the woods. I had my arm around her shoulder. I'm sort of like a stumbling drunk, right? And she's sort of dragging me through the woods, and she gets me to the car, and puts me in the passenger seat of the car, and we're a 1-hour transport to the hospital, right? And I'm bleeding. I'm losing a pint of blood every 10 or 15 minutes. My wife didn't know this, and thank God I didn't either. But I was literally a human hourglass, right? And she put me in the passenger seat of the car, and I'm lying there. Now I'm starting to go blind, right? Which is one of the things that happens when you lose too much blood, is you go blind. She ran into the house. The sort of electric white just took over the world, and that's all I could see. Electric white. If you bleed out, that's the last thing you'll see. And then darkness, which is what I finally got to, was the darkness. But so she ran into the house, told the teenage girls. One of them ran out. The phone line didn't work, but one of them was able to get 1 bar of signal, like in one spot on the driveway, like 1 bar, and she called the ambulance. And the ambulance guys came, and you go into something called compensatory shock if you're bleeding out, and the body senses in its miraculous way. It senses that there's a 5-alarm fire going on here, and we gotta tighten our game, right? So it literally shuts down vascular, like, blood flow to parts of the body you don't need, like your legs and your arms, your skin, and it sort of hoards the blood in your chest, your abdomen, your chest, and your brain, around your heart, right? Those things go, you're dead. So it collects the blood around there and keeps it there through muscular tension, right? And you don't know you're doing this. But what happens is your blood pressure goes back up, and suddenly you're sort of back in the world. And I was no longer going in and out of consciousness. Suddenly I could see again. The ambulance guys get there, and they're like, how you doing? I'm like, well, belly pain, but I don't want to be a complainer here. I'm feeling a little better, maybe blah, blah, blah. My wife, and this is why there's a famous statistic, married men live longer. My wife is like, you know what? Because they were going to leave me. They were like, oh, it's a hot day, drink some water. You probably just dehydrated.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. My wife is like, no, he's going to the hospital. I watched him. He was in and out of consciousness. He couldn't stand up. He was going blind. Like, what's it take?
Yeah.
Guys, what's it take to get a guy to the emergency room? So anyway, they took me. My body stayed in compensatory shock for that hour that it took. And but I was losing blood. And then I got to the hospital, and my body couldn't hold compensatory shock anymore. And I went straight into end-stage hemorrhagic shock, which is you're dead in 10 or 15 minutes, right? And I went off a fucking cliff right as we got to the hospital. And they estimate my blood pressure was 60/40, which is like rock bottom. They estimate I lost like 2/3 of my blood. If you lose more than 2/3, even if they transfuse you and top you off with, full complement of blood, they pump it into you, if you lose that much blood, there's complications that happen with coagulants and all kinds of things like that that will kill you. So people can die of blood loss with a full complement of blood that they've gotten from transfusions, just because this chemical process gets initiated and they can't reverse it, right? And that starts to happen when you've lost 2/3 of your blood, which is right where I was at, right? 10 minutes later, I'd have been dead. And so they rushed me into the trauma bay, and the doctors knew immediately what was going on. And one doctor had this sort of large gauge needle, and he started, and he asked my permission. I had no idea I was dying, right? And he asked my permission to stick it through my neck into my jugular, which didn't look like a lot of fun. And I was like, really? Is this totally necessary? Like, do we really need to do this? I was like, why? Like, in case there's an emergency? And he was like, no, this is the emergency. Like, I had no idea, right? I'm 10 minutes from dead. I have no idea I'm dying. Zero. Right? Thank God, because I would have been terrified, and I would have been thinking about my family, and I would, I mean, please, like,
Yeah.
you don't want that, right? And so he said, this is the emergency. But I was like, well, if you say so, go ahead, have at it, right? So while he's working on prepping my neck, and it didn't hurt at all, right? So if you ever have to have this done, don't worry about it. But while I'm lying there, and he's sort of working on my neck, it took long. It felt like it took longer than it probably actually did. But while I'm there, all of a sudden, and I have to stop and say, I'm an atheist. I'm a lifelong atheist. I'm a rationalist. I'm not spiritual. I'm not a mystic. I'm not woo-woo. I'm nothing, right? And my dad was an atheist and a physicist. I have to say all this because of what's coming. And I'm still an atheist, by the way. But so all of a sudden, I sensed below me and to my left this black pit open up, this black abyss, like this infinite black void. And I was getting pulled into it. And it's not like darkness had taken over the world. The world was here. I could see the doctors. I was talking to them, right? Here I am. But the darkness was contained in this hole that was underneath me, and I was getting pulled into it, right? I didn't know I was dying, but I had this instincts of a wounded animal. Like, if I go into the pit, the infinitely dark pit, I'm not coming out, right? Like, I just sensed, don't go in there, because you're not coming back, right? And I started to panic because I felt myself getting drawn in, right? And then my dead father, appeared above me and to my left. Now, there's a whole body of inquiry of NDEs, near-death experiences, and I didn't know anything about this stuff, right? I didn't know anything about it. It didn't interest me. I'm not culturally prepped for anything like that. I'm not Christian. I didn't see angels. I'm a zero in that regard, right? There's my dead father above me, right? He'd been dead 8 years. I love him, but I was not happy to see him, right? I was shocked. I mean, literally, I was, Dad? What are you doing here? And there he was, and he communicated to me. And so what I saw, see isn't quite the right verb, but I don't know if there doesn't exist the right verb. I sensed / saw him, and it was his essence, his energy, his presence, right? It's not like I see you, right? It's like, oh, there he is, right? It wasn't with that clarity. In some ways, it was with a deeper clarity, because it was his essence, right? And there he was. His presence was right there. And above me and to my left, it was quite specific. And he communicated to me, again, not with words, but with some manner that I understood, that I can't quite explain what it was. But basically, the idea was, you don't have to fight it. You can come with me. I'll take care of you. It's okay. It's okay. Don't be scared, right? I'll take care of you. I was horrified. I was appalled. I was offended. I was like, you're dead. Why would I want to go with you? You're dead. You're the opposite of what I am. Why would I possibly want to go with you and be dead with you? Because I'm alive with my family right now. I'm not going anywhere with you. Get out of here. And I said to the doctor, you have to hurry. I'm going right now. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I was sort of outbound. And once that happened, there's no inbound. And I sensed that. I said, you got to hurry. You're losing me right now.
So what'd they do?
Well, they transfused me. They stabilized me with 3 units of blood. Eventually, I needed 10 units, which is a full complement of blood. And so let me just pause for a moment and say, please donate blood. Like everybody who's listening, I'm alive. My daughters have a father because 10 people who I'll never know donated their blood. And when you donate blood, you are literally allowing another person to live. And one day, you might live because someone else donated blood. And doctors can't manufacture that shit. Like if you donate blood, it takes an hour, it doesn't hurt, and your body will replace it in a couple of weeks. It's the ultimate free lunch. And
I think it's quicker than a couple of weeks. I think it's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to get up to 100%, I think it's a little long, but whatever. It doesn't matter, right? It's like we're talking about human life here,
right.
And if you want to be part of something greater than yourself, it's blah blah blah.
Right.
All these things that we all kind of want. Like, how do I participate? Nobody needs me. I'm not part of anything. I feel lonely. Give blood, man. Then you'll be part of something amazing, right? And you might. So I give blood regularly. So at any rate, there's my pitch, but. So they stuffed some blood in me through my jugular. I stabilized, and they brought me to the the cath lab, the interventional radiology suite. And what interventional radiology is, it's a freaking miracle, right? Like 20 years ago, I'd have been dead.
We were talking before, there's so much to talk about, but we were talking before, and you were saying that over the last year, you almost died. Because you had some crazy internal, you had an aneurysm in your pancreas. Is that what you said it was?
Yeah, I had an undiagnosed asymptomatic aneurysm, which is a sort of ballooning in the blood vessel, in the artery, in my pancreatic artery. And out of the blue, it was a congenital thing. Like I apparently had developed during my whole life. It was just from a structural problem. And one beautiful June afternoon last year, it burst. And, I just felt this pain shoot through my stomach. I was like, damn, what is that? And within a few minutes, I couldn't stand up. And within about 10 minutes, I was started to go blind. And my wife called the ambulance, and those guys got there, and I was tanking really fast. And the hospital is an hour away. And by a miracle, I don't even think the doctors understand it, but by a miracle, I was still alive when I got to the hospital. I lost 90% of my blood into my abdomen. And I didn't know I was dying, but I was dying, and I was right in that sort of twilight zone. And a black pit opened up underneath me, and I felt myself starting to get pulled down into it, and I didn't want to go. Like it was cold and dark and black and bottomless, and I just knew, like, do not go down there. I was getting pulled down into it, and right at that moment, my father, who passed away in 2012, my father sort of appeared next to me and started trying to communicate with me and comforting me, and I sort of waved him away, and the last thing I remember saying to the doctor, I was sort of losing consciousness, and the last thing I said to the doctor was, "You're losing me right now. You got to hurry." He was trying to he'd cut my neck open. He was trying to put a line into my neck to, they pumped 10 units of blood into me, and that's what brought me back. It was really close.
Wow. When you say you felt like you were sinking into a pit, like, were you seeing this?
I mean, your perceptions are very weird because very little oxygen in the brain. I had a hemoglobin count of 1.2. If you're a doctor, you know what that is. It's almost unheard of. And so I just felt this pit underneath me, and it was pulling me into it, and I didn't want to go.
And you can see a pit?
Yeah, I mean, again, see/feel, your perceptions are very weird when you're like that. And then my father also was sort of floating above me. He was a presence. I don't know if seeing him is quite the word. It's another perception.
Wow.
Yeah.
So coming out of that, once you regained your health, you must have had an incredible newfound appreciation for all the people in your life and just everything.
It was a long path. I mean, I'm a really healthy guy. Later, the doctor said, I was a marathon runner when I was young, and I don't drink. I'm athletic, and I use my body pretty vigorously. And he said, that saved your life. Like you didn't have a heart attack. Like you owe your life to that. And,
wow.
But the next morning, I didn't know that I'd almost died. I had no idea. I have 2 little girls. I have a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and they're the most precious things to me. I mean, I can't even describe it, obviously. And the fact that they almost lost their dad was just devastating when the ICU nurse came in and said, "How are you doing, Mr. Younger? You're one lucky guy. You almost died yesterday." I had no idea. And then she came back an hour later, and she said, "How are you doing?" And I said, physically, I was throwing up blood. I was not doing very well physically, but I said I was. I said, "But I'm really struggling with what you told me, and it's really terrifying. I didn't know." And I said, "I almost died in my own driveway in front of my family, and I didn't even know." And I said, "I keep thinking about it. I can't stop." And she said, one of the wisest things I've ever heard. She said, "Stop thinking of that moment as scary and start thinking of it as sacred." And she didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. And the next 5 days in the ICU, I thought about the word sacred and what the experience was now giving me access to. And, not to sound sort of like trite, but life is a friggin' miracle. And, I'm not religious, whatever. I don't think any of us, few of us, I certainly didn't quite understand what a miracle it is that we're alive, that we exist, that we draw breath, that we can think about ourselves, that we're here for even one day is a freaking miracle. And you can forget that because your life gets busy, and all of a sudden I feel like life was sort of returned to me, meaning that I understood how sacred it is. And again, I'm an atheist. I don't mean sacred in a religious sense. I mean in the sense that it has a profound value, and you mustn't forget.
It's so easy to lose sight of that when you're caught up in your bills or traffic or your bullshit, and there's so much of life that is essential in order for you to just keep on existing in society, but not really important.
Yeah, and we're humans. We're wired to react to things. Someone pisses you off, or you're tired, or whatever. It's not that we shouldn't have those reactions. Those reactions also keep us alive. Right. Our emotional and physical reactions are adaptive, and they protect us, right? But at the end of the day, you don't want them to run away with your experience of life. You want to reclaim it and just go right. All I have to do is go back to that moment of what happened in that driveway, and that I was spared getting pulled into that pit. That didn't happen. And my daughters get to have a father. I get to experience whatever the rest of my life is, whatever it is. Who knows how long I'll live, but I that gift was returned to me. And I don't even know who to say thank you to, other than I've started giving blood. 10 people donated blood and saved my life. I'll never know who they are. And that, it makes you part of this sort of web of life in a way that it's, when I gave blood for the first time, after this happened, I gave blood, and it made me feel so good. And now I can't wait to do it again. I'm part of something bigger, and that's one of the most profound human joys, is to be part of something greater than yourself.
So this experience, how long did it take you before you were fully recovered?
Well, I had a gallon of blood in my abdomen, and
a gallon.
Well, whatever the amount of blood in your body
to get
is,
it out?
something like that. They can't. It's a hematoma, and my body had to gradually reabsorb it.
Whoa.
So that takes months, and now I'm left with this sort of psychological residue of the experience, which is I have this renewed, reinvigorated appreciation for life, but also. The truth about life is that none of us know for sure we're going to be alive at sunset. We all know you can get cancer or you can die in a car accident or whatever. But really, the truth is, we're alive because the tiniest membranes in your body are not rupturing. You know what I mean? Right. The system that your body is incredibly complex. And if something goes wrong, you can be dead in minutes, and you can be totally healthy, and that can happen. And the fact that the universe can just randomly take you out for no apparent reason, that's pretty startling news if you think about it. I didn't know it worked that way. And it can make you kind of paranoid.
Did it make you paranoid?
No, totally.
Yeah?
I mean, every day I was like, this is gradually going away, but I realized, like, you don't know. You just don't know that you're going to be alive in an hour from now. And you're going running, you're reading a book to your daughter, you're whatever, having dinner with some friends. And now, I'm like, an hour from now, I could be dead, or the guy I'm talking to could be dead. And none of us know, and none of us can do anything about it. And that's just what life is. We're living on a rock hurtling through the universe. I mean, we're part of the universe, and we exist at its mercy, really.
Were you afterwards contemplating what that pit was and what it means to slide into that and like?
I started to do a little research into the death. I want to write a book about this. I think I'm going to call it Pulse.
Ooh, I like that.
The thing that keeps us alive.
It's a good name.
And why we're alive and what happens when you die. And I've just started doing some research into this. And the visitation by dead ancestors is very common.
Oh.
For people. And often, there's all kinds of reasons that you might hallucinate when your brain's low on oxygen. But I didn't hallucinate anyone in my family. I hallucinated my dead father, right? And that's very, very common. And I didn't know I was dying. So it's not like I conjured him up because I knew I was headed somewhere. I was very confused, and there he was trying to comfort me. And that's a really common experience. So I looked into it. And so they have all these, release of ketamine and all, they have all these DMT, and they have all these sort of neurochemical explanations for the subjective experience of dying for the person. And we only know this because people come back, like I do, and report what they saw, and it's usually pretty weird. But it's pretty weird in predictable ways. Like, a lot of people see the dead. It's as if they show up to help. And I want to repeat, I'm an atheist, I'm not religious, I don't believe in anything. And my dad was a physicist. So I want to sort of explain what happens in ways that he would respect scientifically. And so one of the things they said is that you can take low oxygen, ketamine, all these things that physically could happen in the brain, you can subject a healthy person to those things, and they don't have the same kinds of hallucinations. Those hallucinations are particular only to the dying. And I want to try to figure out what is going on in that weird twilight space.